£144. That's the profit a 1,000-acre farm turned in an entire year. Not a month, a year. And the man who owns it is the loudest petrolhead on British telly, a bloke who spent 30 years winding up environmentalists for sport. Yet that £144 set off the best thing to happen to British farming in a generation. This story is about the food on your table and the countryside outside your window, and how close both are to collapse. Stay till the end, because it includes a restaurant built in 48 hours, flat to outrun a council determined to kill it, and the strange reason Jeremy Clarkson can't sell his farm, even when he wants to. Start with the part nobody predicted. When Clarkson's farm dropped on Amazon in 2021, it didn't just do well. It became the most-watched Prime Video original series in Britain. Bigger than the car shows, bigger than the thrillers, a program about mud, sheep, and paperwork beat the lot. The reviews were glowing, and the people cheering loudest weren't Clarkson fans. They were farmers. One working farmer said he had yet to meet a single farmer who didn't like the program. Another put it in writing. Whether he was serious about farming or not, Clarkson did more to bring attention to farmers' struggles in 2 seasons than any farming organization managed in decades. Sit with that for a second. Decades of unions, campaigns, and countryside conferences, outdone by a man whose previous contribution to the countryside was driving through it at 150 miles an hour. The show even turned his young farmhand, Kaleb Cooper, into a national celebrity, 3 books, a UK tour, and a sit-down with the Prime Minister about the state of British farming. A 20-something tractor driver from Chipping Norton, talking policy in Downing Street. So the question writes itself. How did television's most famous dinosaur become farming's best weapon? The answer starts with that £144, because that number isn't a punchline, it's a diagnosis. In his first year, Clarkson farmed 1,000 acres of barley, rapeseed, and wheat, and raised a flock of sheep on the side. The sheep lost money. The weather turned. The harvest came in £90,000 down on the year before, and when the accounts were totted up, Diddley Squat Farm had cleared £144. A year of work. Land worth millions. The best machinery money can buy. £144, less than your weekly shop. And this is what made the show land differently to every farming program before it. It admitted the trick. Critics applauded the series for owning the fact that this was not a normal farm, that Clarkson could bankroll catastrophic losses with an almost bottomless pot of television money, and your average farmer can't. Same weather, same prices, same paperwork, no safety net. On the show, farmers went further. One said it's straight. The government is trying to drive farmers off their land. For the first time, millions of viewers saw the actual sums a working farm runs on, the people growing the nation's food, clearing less in a year than the price of a telly. That's the moment the laughing stopped. Now, how does a Top Gear presenter end up with 1,000 acres in the first place? Rewind briefly to 2008. The financial crash hit, and a farm called Curdle Hill came up for sale in the Cotswolds near Chipping Norton. Land there almost never reaches the open market, and prices had tumbled, so Clarkson paid £4.25 million and took the lot. His logic was pure Clarkson, nobody's making more land, but the sharper reason was tax. There are no death duties on farmland in Britain. Leave your children money, and the taxman takes his slice. Leave them a farm, and it passes on whole. As Clarkson told the Times, land gives you pleasure, feeds people, and the government gets nothing when you die. Then he added the real clincher. It meant he could finally have a quad bike. For 11 years, a local contractor named Howard farmed the land while Clarkson carried on making car shows. Then, in 2019, Howard retired, a pandemic loomed, and Clarkson decided, against every sensible voice in Oxfordshire, to farm it himself. The neighbours, meanwhile, never stood a chance of liking him. Before a single seed went in, Clarkson dealt with the old farmhouse the only way he knows how. He blew it up, on camera, for the grand tour. In its place went a new house with a basement cinema, a games room in the attic, 6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, an orangery, a room whose entire job is keeping plants warm in winter, a yard for horses, and garage space for 5 cars plus the beloved quad bikes. He named the whole estate Diddley Squat, an honest tribute to what the land actually produced. And here's the detail everyone forgets. The council had approved those renovation plans back in 2016 without a fuss. A celebrity rebuilding a farmhouse. Fine. The same celebrity trying to sell food from his own land. That, as you're about to see, was a different matter entirely. The village grudge started that day, and it never left. Keep those neighbors in mind. Because they, and the council they kept on speed dial, are about to become the villains of this entire story. Then Britain left the European Union, and the floor gave way under every farm in the country. For decades, UK farms survived on European subsidy payments. For a farm like Diddley Squat, roughly £66,000 a year. After Brexit, those payments started vanishing, replaced by schemes and slogans nobody on the ground could explain. In Season 2, livestock farmers near the farm told Clarkson their entire operation had been put under threat overnight. Some weren't even paying themselves a wage. And the government's replacement plan, paying farmers to plant wildflowers instead of wheat. One farmer on the show spelled out the madness in a single breath. We're stopping producing the wheat that makes the bread that everybody in this country eats. And if Britain simply imports the difference? He had an answer for that too. The food comes in from places like Brazil, where they cut down rainforest to grow it. So the countryside gets prettier, the planet gets worse, and the British farmer takes the blame for both. Another farmer summed up where this road ends in 4 flat words: the decimation of British farming. And remember, most of the farmers saying it are around retirement age. When they go, the knowledge goes with them, which is exactly why Clarkson decided the farm had to start making money another way. And that's where the real war begins. Quick pause because the council war is next, and it's the best part of this story. If you're enjoying it, tap like and subscribe so more people hear what's actually happening to British farms. Right back to it. With the subsidies dying, Diddley Squat tried to diversify. Cattle to supply meat for the farm shop, and a restaurant built from the bones of a derelict barn to sell it. The local council said no, then no again. Then no to nearly everything, the restaurant, the car park, even a track across his own land. Their reasoning, protecting an area of outstanding natural beauty, which sounds fair until you hear the counter. The field earmarked for parking was already a mud pit. The restaurant would create local jobs and sell produce from surrounding farms that had no other outlet. Farmers gained. The village gained. Didn't matter. Because by then, the show's success had turned the farm shop into an international tourist attraction, with queues of cars clogging the lanes, and the neighbors were furious. One villager called the farm a total menace and a danger. It got so bad that Clarkson weighed up dragging the whole thing through the courts, lengthy, expensive, and with no guarantee of winning. Then his team found the loophole. A derelict barn, it turns out, can be converted without prior planning permission, provided the work is finished before anyone lodges a formal objection. So the entire restaurant went up in 48 hours. Kitchen, tables, the lot, built flat out over one weekend, faster than the paperwork could chase it. It opened. The community loved it. The council shut it down anyway within months. It took until the 3rd season for Diddley Squat to win its appeal, by which point the council had tried to rule the farm shop wasn't a farm shop at all, but an entertainment and leisure facility. The farm kept its cafe, its car park, and its burger van. 2 years of fighting for the right to sell beef from your own field. And while the lawyers argued, the sums kept getting worse. When the 3rd season landed in May 2024, it showed a farm being squeezed from every direction at once. The farm's best harvest brought in £725,000, which sounds like victory, until you learn that every single penny went straight back into seed and chemicals for the following year. The war in Ukraine sent input costs through the roof. Clarkson's annual spend on seed, fertilizer and sprays nearly tripled, from £40,000 to £110,000. Then the weather failed again, drought this time, fields baked hard through the summer, and in 2023 most of his crops failed with it, forcing yet another pivot into mushroom farming. His own verdict on the book said everything. The year he made £144 would look like a dream result compared to this one. Read that back. 1,000 acres, television money, the best equipment in the county, and the good year is the one that paid less than a tank of petrol. It nearly broke him. Clarkson admitted in print that he'd arrived at a crossroads. Conventional farming didn't work. Diversifying was blocked at every turn. The animals, in his words, had been a bit of a disaster. He could sell the farm tomorrow and earn more from simple bank interest than from growing food. But here's the trap: he can't sell. The very tax logic that made him buy the place now holds him prisoner. No death duties on farmland means his children want the farm kept in the family. So selling is off the table. And doing nothing, he wrote, would be heartbreaking, which leaves a 60-something broadcaster stuck doing the hardest job in Britain. And that, strangely, is the best news farming's had in years. Zoom out and look at what actually happened. The serious farming programs, Countryfile and the rest, preach to people who already care. Clarkson's Farm smuggled the truth in behind the comedy and pulled in millions who would never have watched a farming program in their lives. Farmers spotted it immediately. As one put it, "This is the program farming needed. Jeremy Clarkson is getting the farmer's message across to the public." And the message is simple. The countryside you're proud of, the hedgerows, the fields, the postcard views, didn't happen by accident. Farmers made it look like that. And they're being squeezed off the land by vanishing subsidies, tripling costs, and rules written by people who have never grown so much as a window box. One farmer on the show asked the only question that matters. What would this country look like in 5 years if there was no farming here? In 3 seasons, one comedy program walked the public through subsidies, planning law, animal welfare, climate pressure, and the economics of a loaf of bread. An education the industry had begged decades for. A man famous for annoying environmentalists ended up giving British farming its loudest voice in half a century, not by lecturing anyone, but by failing at it honestly on camera and letting you do the maths yourself. That's the unironic part. He didn't set out to save farming. He just showed you the ledger. So, £144. Remember that number the next time you drive past a farm and assume the owner's rich. Britain's most controversial broadcaster took 1,000 acres, lost a fortune, fought a council, and accidentally became the best advert British farming has ever had. If this opened your eyes, give it a like, and tell me in the comments whose side you're on, Clarksons or the councils. And subscribe, because the British Ledger opens the books on a different British story every week. Next up, another empire hiding in plain sight, and the numbers behind it are even harder to believe. Cheers.